Afiq from FTKE BEY Section 1-1. So today my team will talk about chemical hazard. Every day people are exposed to a variety of activities or products that could under certain circumstances cause harm. There's a potential for harm or injury in nearly every activity we engage in, whether it's when we cross a street, ride in an automobile, or play in a baseball game. This potential for harm can be referred to as risk. So, what is chemical hazard? A chemical hazard is any substance that can cause a health problem when ingested or inhaled. They include toxins, dangerous chemicals, residue, or excess chemicals used in processing food product or anything. So, chemical hazard spread to the two. Then we talk about what is chemical. So, a chemical is any substance that has a defined composition. In other words, a chemical is always made up of the same stuff. Some chemicals occur in nature, such as water. Other chemicals are manufactured, such as chlorine, used for bleaching fabrics or in swimming pools. So let's talk about hazard. Hazard. What is hazard? A hazard is a source or a situation with the potential for harm in terms of human injury or ill health, damage to property, damage to environments, or a combination of these. Hazard at work may include noisy machinery, a moving forklift, chemicals, electricity, working at heights, a repetitive job, or inappropriate behavior that adversely affects a worker's safety and health. So beware. Thank you. That's all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ahmad Firdaus bin Muhammad Shah, going to present a physical hazard in chemicals, which is the first physical hazard in chemicals is explosive, and then flammable, and third one is oxidizing, and fourth one is gas under pressure, and last but not least corrosive. So next, the type of physical hazard in chemicals: explosive, flammable, oxidizing, gas under pressure, and corrosive. For explosive, this is the symbol of explosive hazard. It may explode if exposed to fire, heat, shock, and friction. So if the explosive hazard is the to avoid the explosive hazard, we need to avoid ignition sources, sparks, flames, and heat. So we need to keep our distance from the explosive hazard, and also wear protective clothing. And second, flammable. This is the picture of flammable hazard, which is flammable will be exposed if the two will be exposed to the ignition sources, sparks, and heat. Some substance with these symbols may give off flammable gases in contact with water. To avoid the flammable, we need to avoid ignition source, keep your distance, and lastly wear protective clothing. And third is oxidizing. Oxidizing can burn even without air or unintensify fire in combustible materials. To avoid the oxidizing, we need to avoid the ignition sources, keep your distance, and wear protective clothing, which is same as the first and the second hazard. And then gas under pressure. This is the symbol of gas under pressure. gas under pressure contains gas under pressure that is gas release may be very cold, which is the degree Celsius is negative value. So the gas container may explode if heated. To avoid from the gas to be explode, do not heat the containers. Avoid contact with eye and skin. Last is corrosive hazard, which is the corrosive hazard is chemicals that may corrode metals and skins. To avoid the corrosive chemicals, keep away from the metals, keep distancing from the chemicals, and wear chemicals resistance glove. Last but not least, wear protective and suitable clothing. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Alif bin Ahmad Aina. My number matric B08201025. So today I want to explain about the health hazard. Okay, what is health hazard? Health hazard are chemical, physical or biological factors in our environment that can have negative impact on our short or long-term health. Exposure to hazard can occur through touch, inhalation and ingestion. So when you make a contact or touch chemical, you need to wash your hand or get the right treatment. So there is 5 types of health hazard. Number 1 is biological, which is bacteria, virus, insect, plants, bird, animal and human. And number 2 is chemical, depends on the physical, chemical and toxic properties of the chemical. And number 3 is ergonomic. Okay, repetitive movement, improper setup or workstation. Okay, if you don't understand, ergonomic hazard is about the workplace. Okay, standing too long period in a workplace or eye strain during lighting. And number 4 is physical, which is radiation, magnetic field, pressure, extreme, high pressure or low vacuum noise. So this is also the hazard that we can get from the workplace. And the last one is psychosocial, which is stress, anger, frustration, violence. So this psychosocial hazard is related to discrimination, tight work schedule, overwork, and all these factors contribute to stress, anger, and frustration. And this is adverse health effect. Number 1 is bodily injury, second disease, and number 3 change in the way the body function, grow or develops, and effect on developing fetus, teratogenic effect, fetotoxic effect, and effect on children, grandchildren, for example inheritable genetic effect, and decrease in lifespan, this is very dangerous, and change in mental condition resulting from stress, traumatic experience, exposure to solvents, and the last one is effect on the ability to combat additional stress. And this is the sign of health hazard. Okay, we need to identify hazard and risk factor that have the potential to cause harm. So this is called hazard identification, and analyze and evaluate the risk associated with that hazard. Okay, and this is we call risk analysis and risk evaluation. And the last one is determine appropriate ways to control, eliminate the hazard, or control the risk when the hazard cannot be eliminated, and this is called risk control. So that's all from me, and thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Arif Irfan. I will continue my part safety chemical handling. Okay, avoid of routine. Do not smell or taste chemicals. Ban any apparatus which may discharge toxic chemical into local exhaust device. Inspect glove and other personnel. Last one, do not allow release of toxic substance in cool rooms and warm rooms, since these have contained recalculate atmosphere. Okay. Rule of choice of chemical. Use only those chemical for which the quality of the ventilation system is appropriate. Eating, smoking. Do not eat, drink, smoke, chewing gum, or apply cosmetic in area where chemicals are present. Wash hands before conducting this activity. Next, equipment and glassware. Handle and store chemical glassware with care to avoid damage. Do not use damaged glassware. Use equipment only for its design purpose. Existing. Wash hands and area of exposed skin well after chemical use. Okay, for house play, avoid practical job or other behavior which might confuse, start, or distract another worker. And the last one, personal apparel and housekeeping. Confine long hair and loose clothing. Wear shoes at all times. Do not wear sandals or perforated shoes. Keep the work area clean and uncluttered, with chemical and equipment being properly labeled and stored. Clean up the work area and completion of an operation or at the end of each day. Okay, that's all from me, Arif Irfan. Thank you. I will pass for another member for this of this group. Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Iskandar Imanuddin bin Muhammad Yazid and my matrix number is B082010081. So I will present about type of chemical. So let's go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today I will present about type of chemical. So first, we need to know what is a dangerous chemical. Any chemical in either gas, liquid or solid form that has potential to cause harm can be referred as dangerous chemical. So there are 750,000 dangerous chemicals used in the workplace around the world. Chemicals are used for a variety of purposes. So here is the list of chemicals that we use in our daily life. There are some examples here. For number one, we have soap, and then in soap we have chemical that called ester, and then we have toothpaste. In a toothpaste also have chemical that called calcium carbonate and sodium fluoride, and then we have a baking powder, which is have sodium bicarbonate in baking powder, and then detergent, which is have sodium sulfate, sodium hydroxide, and phosphate compound. So next we have a dangerous chemical. So there are some examples. For number one, we have a carbon monoxide. So as we know, carbon monoxide is the natural byproduct of internal combustion engine. So it can be seen on some transport vehicle or some forklift inside or outside the factory. It can be harmful to human beings. Next, we have ammonia. Ammonia is a common ingredient in household and industrial cleaning engine. So ammonia become dangerous once the liquid is exposed to oxygen and transforming into ammonia gas. So next we have sulfuric acid. As we know, sulfuric acid is a critical component in the manufacture of most fertilizer, battery, acid, and metal. Its extremely corrosive nature and make it exceptionally dangerous in its most common concentration. And then we have hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is a virtual chemical in the processing and manufacture of metal, textile, and rubber. So next, the type of hazard. Number one, we have a flammable, and then the second one, we have a corrosive, and the third one is reactive, and number four is toxic, and number five is irritant, and then the last one is environmental hazard. So here are some symbols that we can know. So we have acute toxic, health hazard, flammable, exclamation mark, flame or circle, gas cylinder, exploding bombs, environmental hazard, and corrosion. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Afif Farhan bin Muhammad Nasir. Nombor metrik B0820100239. Today I want to present about personal protective equipment and a summary of this presentation. Firstly, for each chemical here is a proper choice for PPE that can protect the employee from the hazard caused by it. If the chemical enters our body, work in well-ventilated area, wear a face mask either with a filter or with external breathing source. This is an example of PPE. Injection, wear glove to avoid contact, frequently wash hand. In injection, wear glove, handle item with care. Absorption, well ventilated workspace, wearing goggles, wearing glove. This is an example of the protection. And we have a hand protection, body protection, foot protection, eye protection, and hearing protection. Responsibilities with our concern is firstly, follow health and safety instruction, follow safe work practice, take reasonable care of your own health and safety. Take reasonable care and your action do not adversely affect the health and safety of others. Participate in training, assist in identifying, assessing, and managing risks. Use appropriate equipment and personal protective equipment. Do not purchase or use prohibited chemical. Okay, summary of this project is employers are required to maintain a written hazard communication program in the workplace. And first, safety data sheets (SDS), label and other form of warning about the chemical. List existing chemical using a product identifier. Training information about hazard and non-routine works. Example, cleaning of reactor vessel. SDS must be available in the work. Must in English, based on scientific evidence, revised within 3 months or when new information become available. Label must be eligible, clearly displayed in English, revised within 6 months of when new information become available. Basic principle for safe use of dangerous substance. Elimination of reduction of danger by using non-hazardous substance. Resolution of danger by selection of a low emission working process. Extraction of the release hazardous substance at the occurrence or leak source. local exhaust ventilation measures in addition to extraction at the source of generation. Personal protective equipment. Thank you.